Trump is innocent. Bragg knows he's innocent, and he's abusing his power and abusing the grand jury process to try to destroy him. The big news is the unprecedented, reckless, damaging, dangerous, outrageous, you name it, indictment of President Trump by Alvin Bragg, based on really a novel, to put it charitably, application of the law, unprecedented application of the law to target President Trump and obviously, in my view, to interfere in the 2024 elections. And this is my initial reaction. I'm going to read it to you because it's important that we get it on the record, and I'll explain further some of the corruption involved here. Trump is a crime victim. New York Democrats' reckless scheme to prosecute and jail President Trump is a dangerous attack on the rule of law and a brazen attempt to rig the 2024 elections for President Biden and the Democrats. Judicial Watch denounces Alvin Bragg's corrupt attempt to make President Trump into a political prisoner. Congress and every responsible government official should try to do everything possible under the law to undo this attempt to wreck our Republican form of government. So this is a dangerous move by Bragg in terms of attacking the rule of law. It's an obvious abuse of power. He is a left-wing Democrat in a left-leaning jurisdiction. Obviously, New York is about as Democrat and left-leaning as you can get in terms of the American population. And so the goal is to jail Trump and interfere with the election. I don't know how else to describe it to you. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about whether the charges are valid or not. Let me put it this way. Trump is innocent. Bragg knows he's innocent, and he's abusing his power and abusing the grand jury process to try to destroy him. These are charges that have been rejected and considered by other law enforcement, federal law enforcement, been rejected and considered by his own office. And he decided to resurrect them after Trump announced his run for the presidency. So let's be blunt. There's no good faith basis for these charges against Trump. And the danger to our republic comes from this embrace by the Democratic Party, and it's not just in New York, it's here in Washington, D.C. under the Biden administration, it's in Fulton County, Georgia, where they're trying to abuse Trump and target him for daring to dispute the elections in 2020, as the law allows. And it's this embrace by the Democratic Party and the left of using prosecutorial powers of the government at the federal and state level to jail their political opponents. And in this case, the former president of the United States. It makes a mockery of our justice system. It makes a mockery of our standing among the world. Obviously, America isn't perfect, but it has this reputation, well-deserved, for not jailing people based on politics. Now, not to say it doesn't happen time and again, but the idea that America would start jailing leading political officials for purely political reasons, it's something that's never happened again. And I don't know how it's going to change us. Is it going to ruin the country? Is it going to ruin the republic? Is it going to lead to grand juries in Mississippi or Texas or Florida indicting Biden and Schumer and Pelosi? I don't know. But now we're no better, at least in New York, than Putin's Moscow or Xi's Beijing or Fidel Castro's, I guess he's not around anymore, Castro's Havana. I mean, Cuba, China, Russia, and the United States. Why would we want to be among that crowd in how we target politically people for prosecution? This is a dire threat to the rule of law. It's designed to, as I said in the statement, interfere in our elections. No one's fooled. No one's fooled that this is a legitimate prosecution. And you can see how things are shaking out. You have Democrats pretending it is embracing this anti-American attack on the rule of law. You even have some Republicans who are frankly too silent on it because they don't like Trump, further highlighting the political nature of it. Look, you had Nancy Pelosi say that, well, Trump can prove his innocence in court. I mean, that just confirms just how political this process is, because you don't, quote, prove your innocence in court. You're presumed to be innocent. But when it comes to Trump and the left-wing Democrats, you're presumed to be guilty. And it's just a matter of finding the right crime to fit. So I don't know what's going to happen. You know, is Trump going to go to jail? Is he going to be denied bail? Who knows? If he's convicted, will he serve time in jail? Will he run for president from jail? And of course, this isn't the only risk he faces to his liberty from these authoritarian-minded politicians who are trying to jail their political opposition. So Judicial Watch is already on the case. We've begun FOIAs. For instance, we FOIA'd the Federal Election Commission. And you know what? We got a response back saying they didn't have any communications with Bragg. Isn't that interesting? Because Bragg is supposedly very interested in whether these false statements allegedly about the payments to Daniels had campaign finance violations attached to them or involved campaign finance violations either at the federal or state level. But no communications with the Federal Elections Commission. So we confirm that. Judicial Watch is already moving forward on these issues. So I don't know about you, but I just don't think this is a normal corruption scandal. This is a kind of an attack on the way we're supposed to govern ourselves. I mean, do you want local prosecutors to pick who's going to be the president and decide whether they can jail and just make it up as they go along in terms of figuring out crimes to try to jail the political opponent of their allied president? As best I can tell, Biden hasn't said anything. And to me, silence means complicity here. Silence means endorsement. Certainly his Justice Department is engaged in the same type of abusive investigations that Bragg has been in. And same goes for Fulton County, Georgia. So this could be just the beginning of the targeting against Trump and the abusive prosecutions. And I don't know what the country's going to do about it. And I just hope that cooler heads prevail and that Bragg somehow crosses back, right? You know, he's crossed the Rubicon in terms of this unprecedented vicious indictment of Trump. Maybe he can go back the other way, back across the Rubicon and stop attacking the Republic. You know, Bragg is already beginning or exposing how lawless his approach is. He's refusing to cooperate with congressional investigations into his obvious abuse of power. Obviously, Congress has an interest in ensuring government money, or at least federal money, isn't being misused to try to make the former president of the United States a political prisoner. Obviously, it's a federal question, and to suggest that there's no business of Congress to ask questions in this regard shows that Bragg thinks he may be above the law. So, you know, this has got to be a priority for Congress, in my view. And what can Congress do? I tell you what, my thinking is if New York State is going to abuse its powers to try to jail a federal candidate and a president on a pretext and make them a political prisoner, the least Congress can do is to ensure that federal funds aren't involved in that abuse. So they should be taking immediate steps to evaluate where and how they can start restricting federal funds flowing to New York State. You know, New York has, I guess, certain sovereign rights under law, within law, to try to prosecute Trump. You know, I think it's abusive, and they know it's abusive. But there's only so much that can be done to police that. And one of the ways that can be policed is through the restrictions of federal funding. And if Congress can't manage to figure that out, again, what is it there for? And that ought to be a priority. And the governor of New York, again, can intervene and stop this abuse. you should contact Governor Hochul. We'll put her phone number up, or at least below. You can Google, figure it out yourself as well. But there's got to be accountability here. And, we just can't just sit by and say, well, it's going to happen, nothing we can do. We should think about what we can do under law, as I said earlier, and pressure government officials to do what they can under law to protect Trump from this violation of his civil rights. They're trying to take away his freedom because of his politics. And that's not the American way. So Judicial Watch will do all the heavy lifting we can do to expose and hopefully stop this corruption. But we'll also be educating you about what you can do to help that along. Obviously, you can do it directly by supporting Judicial Watch, but also, as I suggested, communicating with the responsible government officials, both in Congress, whose phone number we'll put below, and the governor of New York and other elected officials in New York. There's got to be First Amendment activity to defend the rule of law, in the least. Because our republic is at stake. Our republic is at stake. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.